Are you beginning to feel that, like Thomas Edison, you have discovered 999 ways that consistency doesn't work for you? I get it. I started to ask myself the question, is consistency actually the secret sauce to success? And that question has led me down the most delightful and interesting rabbit hole that is finally allowing me to be more effective and more productive without being a giant bag of dicks to myself. Turns out, being strategically inconsistent is more effective and supports your well-being much, much better than the people who grind. And a lot of the people who grind also intuitively tap into some of what I'm going to share with you. So no matter where on the spectrum you fall, this is going to be useful. And what I love most about it is that it answers the question that always breaks my efforts with consistency. Why bother?
Yeah, why?
If no one's watching or no one cares, who cares? Why try?
Yeah, why?
I'm Geeta Nadkarni, and I walked away from my $2.4 million coaching company when I got hit with a mysterious illness that robbed me of my energy, my drive, and frankly, my faith in coaching. I took a 2-year sabbatical where I had time to really rethink everything I thought I knew. I'm sharing on this channel everything that I've figured out and I'm still figuring out. So if this is a journey that's interesting to you, then follow along. You've heard it all before. It's what all the gurus seem to say, right? In order to be successful, you have to do the thing day in and day out. You have to go to the gym and cut out carbs and post every day and make the content, do all the things. And if that works for you, then no disrespect. I mean, mad respect, honestly. But not everybody has the physical ability, the resources, or the single-minded cyclopean kind of focus on one thing to be able to do that and also be well. What I want to challenge with this video is this idea that that's the only way. And that's what we're going to look into now. For me, it started by asking a seemingly dumb question. Could strategic inconsistency be a better recipe for success? Because think about it. In complex situations like parenting or business, the rules of engagement aren't always clear. You're going to, by definition, have to trial and error. Try a bunch of different things, right? And you can't be consistent with them all.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Now, far be it from me to suggest that Yoda might be wrong, but perhaps we've left out an essential part of the story.
Consistency in posting was not correlated to that top 10 percentile.
That was Zach Honavar, and he studied 10,000 YouTube creators in order to come to that conclusion. And by the way, he's the genius behind the kind of runaway success of channels like Yes Theory and Airac. And he runs a pretty big incubator for YouTubers out there. So if consistency isn't the goal, then what is? I loved this answer because it gave me so much hope for myself.
There's a curiosity, like a relentless curiosity, and it has a deeper meaning for them as well. It's not just about how to get views, but about how to also make content that fulfills something for them, but also then connects with someone at the end of this screen on the other side of the camera.
The quest for consistency is actually not the quest for posting day after day on this like rigid schedule, no matter what. It is actually the quest for creative control. In other words, do you have control, enough control over your actions as you post? Are you able to overcome your resistance? You have moved through the friction of things like fear or finding your voice, figuring out whether your work has meaning. You have mastered how to allocate time and resources, and perhaps you've even figured out how and when to pivot when it's necessary. Logically, one of the easiest ways to conquer all these demons is, of course, to just do the reps, get the work in, blaze through all of those demons. But if consistency were the only requirement, then Einstein wouldn't have said that the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You're thinking, Geeta, I know it's not just consistency, it's consistency with improvement. Malcolm Gladwell talked about it, the 10,000 hour rule, intentional practice. It's closer, you're getting warmer, but it's not actually the thing. There are plenty of really successful people that got that way, by doing literally the opposite of intentional practice, what I like to call the fuck around and find out method. I'll give you a good example. Roger Federer, arguably one of the best tennis players the world has ever produced. When he was a kid, he played all kinds of different sports. He did not do the thing that most people think you have to do, which is to focus early and then double down and have this, like I said, like a cyclops, have one interest and just pour all your time and energy into it. He played soccer, he played video games, he played all kinds of different things. And in fact, when his coaches tried to promote him, noticing his athletic ability, tried to promote him to an adult group so he'd be better challenged, he asked to be put back into the baby group because he didn't want to be separated from his friends. And his parents said, yeah, let him do that. One of my big aha moments came from reading just chapter 1 of this amazing book. It's called Range by David Epstein. In this chapter, which is called The Cult of the Head Start, he talks about how intentional practice works brilliantly, but not all the time. In it, he references a 2009 study co-authored by Daniel Kahneman and Gary Klein, where they looked at the effect of environment on a learning journey. This was a huge aha moment for me because it talked about kind learning environments versus wicked learning environments. A kind learning environment is an environment where the rules of engagement are very clear and you get frequent, quick feedback. It happens very quickly after your action and the feedback is accurate. Think chess, think golf. You make a move and you immediately see how that changes the game. On the other hand, business, parenting, politics, any of the things that involve lots of other people typically are what are called wicked learning environments. Here, the rules, if there are any at all, aren't clear at all. The feedback tends to be extremely delayed. It tends to be inconsistent. It can often even be inaccurate. And this is what makes it very difficult to then make consistent improvements without the magic ingredient, which I'm going to get to next. So let's talk about a wicked learning environment that might be really familiar to you. Making a video like this one. If I make a video or video after video after video like this one, and I put it out there and I hear, what am I supposed to do? In this context, it's very hard to know what is working and what isn't working. And so how am I supposed to create intentional practice? How am I supposed to incrementally improve? I started to ask myself, in situations like this that are wicked learning environments that demand innovation. For example, if you're a coach developing your methodology for transformation, that's something that doesn't exist. So by definition, there's a lot of trial and error involved. Is there a way to control the feedback loop? Because we've already established that consistency without improvement is meaningless, and improvement is really hard without feedback. Because if you're just doing the same thing over and over, all you get is this t-shirt. You'll want to reach out to a community of peers and ideally people who are at the same level as you or maybe a little bit higher. But the most important thing is that they're passionate and interested in these topics for their own reasons. And so they have a lot of juice to bring to the table and they're committed to giving you the feedback that you need. Now, if you don't have a community like this one, you might want to join one that already exists, like the Process Collective, show notes, look for that, or create your own. Because what you need is a situation where you can control a little bit better that feedback loop. If you can ask for frequent feedback, if you can get detailed information, then you can peer into your blind spots and do that intentional practice that is going to get you better faster. But there's something else happening here that's really magical. And that's because when you're surrounded by other people that care about the topic, this is the thing that takes so many of us creatives out, right? That sense of like, why bother? No one cares. You now know that people care. They care about your topic. They care about you. This is a shared mission. And so there's a lot more than your own energy running the show. I had to figure this out because with chronic fatigue syndrome, I just didn't have enough energy to blaze a trail the way I used to be able to do. I had to figure out how to fuel my interest in the topic at hand, and then the consistency became kind of automatic. When you do these experiments and you notice that you're being fueled, the feedback is making you more excited about the topic. You're discovering things about yourself. Remember, self-awareness makes a huge difference. The more you learn yourself, the better you are equipped with what you naturally have to do the job you were put here to do.
But wait, there's more.
So what does working in a wicked learning environment and building in feedback loops have to do with strategic inconsistency? I have this hypothesis this and I invite you to test it out for yourself. Phase 1 of the success spiral is just getting the reps in and seeing what gets in the way. But each time you introduce an improvement or an addition, it's going to create what I call a wobble in your process, a disruption, and that is normal. Now, if you're in a phase of life where you have the extra energy, the juice, the time, the resources to pour in to cover for that disruption, then great. You can stay on schedule and remain consistent. It's just that for a lot of us, we're already at full capacity with family and other obligations, etc. And so what happens is that it is normal, and I think it becomes more strategic and even more efficient to allow yourself to get off schedule, to stop being consistent for a time while you make room for the thinking, the testing, and the integration that is required for sustained improvement long term. So to summarize, maybe at the beginning, consistency is what you chase, but there will come a point where it is time to pause and reflect, and it is normal to go off schedule. It doesn't mean it's broken, you're not broken. This is just a normal part of leveling up. I'm gonna leave you with the t-shirt that I think we should all be wearing. It is my rewrite of a quote that I found online from a guy called Jason Goodman of the Mayo Clinic. Discipline doesn't mean doing things you hate because they're good for you. Discipline is about understanding yourself and learning what you need to feel your most alive and settling for nothing less. In other words, real discipline has a spirit more like self-advocacy rather than self-punishment. If you enjoyed this video and think you'd be interested in being exposed to more ideas that explore kindness and life's complexity in the context of success, hit like and subscribe and share this video with a friend.